الحمد لله وكفى وسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala teaches us in the Qur'an to make this dua, Rabbana, O our Lord, Allah, La tuzigh qulubana ba'da id hadaytana, that do not cause our hearts to stray after you have sent hidayah, after you have bestowed your guidance upon us. وَهَبْ لَنَا مِن لَدُنْكَ رَحْمَةً, وَهَبْ لَنَا, and gift to us or grant to us, مِن لَدُنْكَ, from yourself, rahmah, mercy. إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ الْوَهَّابُ, that verily you and you alone are al-Wahhab, which means the bestower, the grantor, the giver. There are several things being mentioned in this dua. Number one is that there's a notion that even though we have received hidayah, even though we make dua for hidayah, ihdina siratal mustaqim, it's possible that Allah Ta'ala sends His hidayah upon us, but even then our qulub, our spiritual hearts, will still go astray. So that means that there's one, then what we do is we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for one more thing, and that is rahmah, and that is to have mercy. Right? And these two things, dua for hidayah and dua for rahmah, one will find that these two things come throughout the Qur'an al-Karim. Now what is the relationship between these two things? Why is it that we need both, and why is it specifically in this dua we are learning that after a person gets hidayah, they are in need of rahmah? And the reason is that we are not, unfortunately, as responsive to that hidayah as we should be. We don't accept that hidayah, or we don't submit to that hidayah entirely or completely. And therefore what we need then is the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Number one way we can understand this is that receiving hidayah and not following it really should make us worthy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's anger, His wrath, His ghazab. Right? Because if somebody guides you somewhere, somebody gives you instructions, and you deliberately, knowingly don't follow those instructions, then anybody in the world would tell you that, okay, you're worthy of being reprimanded. You deserve that person's anger. So just like that, if a slave gets hidayah from their Rabb, from their Lord, but they don't respond to it, they don't hearken to that hidayah, then it means that that slave actually, right, in some sense is worthy, is mustahiq, has earned themselves the anger or displeasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Therefore, such a person then asks Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for mercy. Right? First of all, what do we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? First of all, la tuzigh qulubana, let this not happen to us. Right? Allah ta'ala, once you send hidayah upon us, don't let our hearts go astray. Don't let our hearts become hardened. Don't let our hearts become rusted. Don't let our hearts become desensitized to your hidayah. Don't let our hearts become immune or impermeable to your hidayah. So that's the first dua. The second dua is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if this happens, if our hearts are so immune that even after receiving your hidayah we still go astray, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we ask you, number two, وَهَبْ لَنَا مِن لَدُنْكَ رَحْمَةً, that we ask you to grant us mercy from yourself. We ask you to grant us your mercy. Number one, to save us from the wrath and displeasure that should occur at our non-compliance or inability to follow the hidayah. Number two, to send your mercy, out of your mercy, to have mercy on us, to have mercy on our sorrowful state, that our hearts are astray even after receiving hidayah. Innaka antal wahhab, and the notion here is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, only and only you can bestow upon us the hidayah. Only and only you can send us upon us mercy that will enable our hearts to absorb and submit to that hidayah. And only you can send that mercy upon us that saves our hearts from destruction when we do not heed and hearken to your hidayah. Now, what is one of the reasons that we normally fail, right, to follow hidayah? It's a very simple thing. And what happens is that we postpone. We delay things, we postpone things. In other words, that gap between knowledge and action, that gap between guidance and submission, right? That gap is very simple. For most of us, it comes down to one very simple thing, and that's procrastination. You can call it procrastination, you can call it delaying, you can call it postponing, delaying the inevitable, postponing what we can do today until tomorrow or the day after, the next year, right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to see to it that we don't do this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, number one, wal asr, right? That whole surah is giving us the lesson of time. That time is not on our side. You see, if time was on our side, then rationally speaking, a person might be tempted to postpone, would be tempted to procrastinate, would be tempted to follow the hidayah well after, many days, years after they received it. But time is something that's not on our side. And in some sense, postponing things when it pertains to our deen is actually not just counterproductive, but it's actually irrational. Those hikmat or wisdom demands, right, not only whether it's worldly wisdom or wisdom from revelation, demands that whatever can be done today should not be left for tomorrow. Or more specifically, we should prioritize. More important things should be done today, and the less important things can be left for the future. And when we understand that, then it's very clear that when we phrase it that way, using the words more important and less important, then it's going to be very difficult to postpone the deen, right? Because that means that we are really saying that the deen is less important, therefore it can take place later. I can wait till after I graduate. I can wait till after I get married. I'll wait till after I have my kids. I'll wait till after I get my job and get settled down. And I can tell you from practical experience, even my own life in dealing with countless people, that anybody who has thought like this has always failed. That woman who said, I'll wait till after I get married, when she got married, she still didn't do it. When she said, I'll wait till I graduate, when she graduated, she still didn't do it. When she said that, let me graduate and settle down and start my career, then I'll do X, she still didn't do it. There's no barakah in postponing. I've almost never, illa mashallah, almost never have we actually seen somebody postpone and be successful in postponing and putting off things to a future date. Why is that? The reason is that the act of postponing really means, right, is much more significant than just mere procrastination or delaying. It means that we are according that Islamic obligation or that religious duty a low importance, a low value. And that is crippling to our deen. That is crippling to our spirituality, right? And then we lose the madad, the nusrat, the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We lose His barakah. And it's very rare, illa mashallah, and normally that even that happens when a person makes tawbah. And makes tawbah specifically for that delay. So that woman who, when she gets married, she actually feels bad that she didn't do it before. And she truly, sincerely repents to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives her tawfiq or her ability or success to do that action or perform that obligation or fulfill that requirement, even at this later stage, at this delayed stage to which she postponed it to. You will find that whenever we do anything related to the deen, there's an instant gratification. If we ever manage to overcome our nafs and actually stop ourselves from procrastinating and force ourselves to do something, you will find that when you complete that task, let's say it's a prayer, right? Let's say